विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। ननु कथम आकाशवत् एक एव सर्वात्मा भवेत्? How do you say that Atma is Sarvatma? Atma, self that I am, is Sarvatma, is self of all. For Akasha, space, we understand that the space in pots and pans is actually one, and therefore the space of a pot is the space of all. But how does that apply to Atma, the consciousness? Brahmadi bhedena atmanam anekattasya vibhavimanatvat. Space is one entity, all right, which is an example. But Atma is consciousness, self-shining, revealing itself. And we see that the self reveals itself. As the self of all the beings, being from Brahma all the way up to a blade of earth or blade of grass. Tatha Chaitanya Matram cha Anupaddam, number one. And number two, how is Atma non-dual? How is it one and not many? And how is it non-dual? There is only Atma and no Anatma. That also is Anupannam, untenable. The Atma alone is, there is no Anatma. Ragadi dosha samsargopalabdeheti. You find that the Atma, the self, is subject to the dosha, this blemishes of ragadvesha. So Atma is ragi, dveshi, krodhi, happy, unhappy. Then that means that Atma is subject, being influenced by something other than itself. When Atma is ragi, that means that Atma is subject to being influenced by raga. Atma comes under the influence of many such things. That means there is something other than Atma that influences Atma. So how do you say that there is nothing other than Atma when you find Atma being influenced by Ragadvesha, which are Anatma? So Brahmadyaha Sthavarantaha Ye Pranina Mahapuhu Smritaha. All these pranis beginning from Brahma, living beings. Up to a blade of grass, ye pranayana, all these pranis, living beings, in which it appears that each one has his own Atma, these pranis. Mama Puhu, they are all my body. Body is not separate from the indweller of the body, my body. Meaning that they do not enjoy an independent reality. And therefore there is no many Atma. All the countless Atmas that appear to be shining independently, all of them are my body. But the body is not independent of I, the possessor of the body. So all these Atmas are not independent. Meaning that they do not enjoy its existence independent of me. That means that they cannot claim to be separate from me, independent. In the Ragadvesha that you are talking about, Bhutadoshahi Sada Asprishtam Sarabhutastam Ishwaram. There is doshas are there. Ragadveshas are there. But they do not belong to Atma, they belong to Antahkarana. And therefore there is no influence upon Atma at all. Ragi Dveshi is not Atma, it is Antahkaranam that is Ragi Dveshi, not Atma. It is because of superimposition that we feel that I am Ragi, I am Dveshi. Dosha Dushte Brahmatvat. So looking at Atma as dushta, as polluted, as impure, is a Brahma, not a reality. How do you say that? Katham Brahmadyaha sthavarantaha ekasyatma sharira bhutaha iti. You made a statement that all these countless living beings are the sharira, the body of the Atma. How do you say that? Look at Nanu stool નથી આજુબાજુમાં. નથી દેખાતું. સારું. मच्चैतन्याभास्यत्वात् सर्वप्राणिधियां सदा पूर्वम प्राणिनः सर्वे सर्वज्ञस्य विपाप्मनः. Says, how, in what manner do we say that all these living beings are my body? Macchaitanya avhasyatvat. Because all of them are avhasya, illumined by Macchaitanya, Chaitanyam, that I am. Sarpranidhyam sada. The intellect of all the living beings, they are all illumined by consciousness. Now it is established that I am the self of all. That is in the earlier verse. So I am the self of all. I am therefore illuminator of not only one buddhi, all the buddhis. And therefore I dwell within the buddhi of all as a sakshi, as a witness. And therefore I am the self of all. They are all my upadhis. Therefore they are all my bodies, upadhis. Sarve sarvajnasya vipapmanah. I am sarvajna, omniscient, of the nature of consciousness. Vipapma, sinless. So whatever sin or dosha that you perceive, they all belong to this dhi or the buddhi. Those buddhis, along with their attributes or defects or limitations, are all illumined by consciousness, that is I, which is self of all. And I, the illuminator, is unaffected by what is means vipapmana. All papa, raga, dvesha are all illumined. I am vipapmana. I am sarvajna, omniscient, all-knowing, meaning I illuminate all the buddhis there. In that sense, I am omniscient. The individual particular knowledge is in buddhi. Vishesha jnanam is in buddhi. So countless buddhis have countless vishesha jnanam, admitted. But that vishesha jnanam could not be unless all these buddhis are enlivened, illumined by consciousness that I am. So I am the samanya jnanam, universal knowledge. That knowledge which is universal by nature gains a particularity because of apparent association buddhi. All the visheshata is in buddhi. So samanya jnanam becomes vishesha jnanam when it gets associated with buddhi. I remain. So jnana swarupa sarvajna, jnana swarupoham, vipapmaham, ever free from all papa, all the defects. And all the pranis, meaning their intellects are all illumined by me. So I am indweller, illumining all the buddhis, therefore they are like my bodies. Then are you admitting that you, the illuminator, is one? And buddhis which are illumined as by you are the Tari bhasya prani tad buddhinam sattvat. You seem to be accepting that you are bhasaka, avhasaka. You are the illuminator. All buddhis are bhasya, illumined. So all the pranis and their buddhis are all illumined by you, and you are the illuminator. Looks like you are admitting a duality between the illuminator and illumined. Janimat jnana vijnayam swapna jnana vadishyate. So that jnanam, which seems to be the basis of imagining the duality between the illuminator and illumined. If the ghatajnanam, patajnanam, matajnanam is real, then we may have to admit the duality between the illuminator like a bulb and the objects that are illumined. But that particular jnanam, vishesha jnanam, if it is real, if ghatatva, patatva, the visheshata, the particularity of this knowledge were real, then each jnanam, vishesha jnanam would be different from other vishesha jnanam, ghata jnanam, different from pata jnanam, and different from the nirvishesha jnanam. But no, the ghata pata and the ghata jnanam, pata jnanam, they are not real, meaning that they do not enjoy an independent reality. They appear to be separate from me, independent of me, illumined by me. It looks like the duality. But the Dvaita Avasa does not establish the reality of Dvaita. Swapna jnana vadishyate. In the dream also there is a similar setup of illuminator, illumined. The dream also that looks like a duality there. But when you wake up, then we realize that everything ultimately got resolved into one self. And therefore everything about dream is mithya, an appearance. Now, what are the dream objects? Janimad Jnana Vijnayam. What are these dream objects, names and forms of dream? What is their peculiarity or what is their nature? Janimat, all of them have come into being. Before dream they were not there. After I wake up they will not be there. During dream also they keep changing. They are all Janimat, meaning that they all have a beginning and an end. So Adavante Jannasti Vartamanevi Tattatha. About dream, this is what Gaudapadacharya said. That it does not exist before and at the end. The dream did not exist before the projection of dream. It does not exist after the dream has been wound up. So Vartamane, in between the dream appears to be there. Tat tatha also it does not exist. What did not exist before its creation, what does not exist after dissolution, does not really exist even when it appears to be there. So Swapna is mithya, meaning yadasat bhasavanam. That which is not there appears there. That's understand. The dream objects which are in reality not there, do not exist, they appear. And waking also is similar. Janimat jnana bhasyam. The objects, names and forms in waking also are janimat. They also have a beginning and therefore an end, perishable. Jnana vijnayam. The ghata pata and the names and forms of the waking state also cannot reveal themselves. They can be known only when they are revealed by consciousness. A clock cannot reveal itself. The clock can reveal its existence only when it is illuminated by consciousness, associated with mind, running out through the eyes, contacting the clock, assuming the form of the clock of that vritti. So therefore, this is Jnana Vijnayam. Clock is something that is Jadam, inner, meaning Paraprakashyam. It becomes illumined by Jnanam, becomes object of knowledge by Jnana or consciousness. So this is the nature of objects in the dream, and there is also the nature of objects in the waking state. Therefore, just as dream objects are not there and they disappear, so also waking objects are not there. That's called mithya, and they appear. So what is not there cannot create duality. An appearance cannot create duality. My reflection cannot create duality with me. My shadow cannot create duality. So just because something appears, is perceived, does not make it real. Tasmad dvaitam na vidyate. Therefore, there is no such thing as duality. All there is ekameva dvitiyam. Consciousness, self, one without a second. Then continuing verse number 8 here on the page 153 of our book. Swarupa jnanasya nirvishayatvam nityatvam cha uktam. Swarupa jnanasya, jnanam, consciousness, is swarupam of the self. Nirvishesham jnanam. There is a savishesham jnanam also, ghata jnanam, pata jnanam, which has beginning, which has an end, which has diversity, etc. So various colors illumined by light, they have variety and diversity. The light that illumines all the colors is no variety, no diversity. So consciousness with nirvishesham jnana, nirvishesham, nirvishayam also. Because it established that the duality that is supposedly illumined by consciousness doesn't exist. Meaning consciousness does not have Vishaya. There is no subject-object duality involved in the illumination of names and forms. That's important. So jnanam or consciousness, nirvishayam jnana, objectless awareness. There could be full awareness provided. Object enjoyed the same degree of reality as awareness. Which it doesn't. Where awareness is, object does not exist. Object awareness exists and shines in its own glory, one non-dual. So when it is nirvishayam jnana, meaning that in the knowledge that I am a consciousness, no Vishaya is there. Swarupa jnanasya nirvishayatvam nityatvam cha uktam. Swarupa jnanam, the consciousness, that is the nature of the self, is objectless. Nityam has no beginning, no end. It ever there. Because existence is the nature of the jnanam. What is sat also is, what is chit is also is sat. Tat satyam, sa atma. So this was established by reasoning in the previous verse, is being Shrutya. By Shruti, he said, Jnatur jnater hi nityokta sushupte tvanya shunyatah. So do you find that the consciousness is described as Nitya, eternal, changeless, permanent, somewhere specially? So yes. Jnatuhu jnatihi. Jnatu the knower, jnati the knowing, is Nitya Ukta, is said to be Nitya, eternal. Jnata is not eternal. The Jnata comes and goes. The Jnata is there, nor in the waking dream states, is not there in the deep sleep state. But where Jnata comes and goes, there is Jnati, the knowing, that does not come and go. So Jnati is the true nature of Jnata. What is true nature? It is that which is not subject to coming and going, which is ever there. Sushupte tu anya shunyatah. Sushupti also shows how the jnati of the consciousness is nirvishaya. There is no Vishaya there. Tad dvitiyam asti. Tad anyat vibhaktam yat pashyed. So how come you are not aware of a second thing, the deep sleep? There is no second thing there for you to be aware of. So deep sleep also is a state where the jnanam is there, but Vishaya is not there. So jnanam, the consciousness of deep sleep, nirvishayam, is objectless awareness. Is nitya also because that does not suffer cessation. The jnata comes and goes, the Vishaya comes and goes, but the jnati ever is. How about all right? So that may be so in the deep sleep state. In the waking we know that there are these objects there. There is a jnata here. There is jnaya here. In the waking and dream states, this duality of the knower and known is there. So, in the waking state, at least you would accept that Savijnanam is Savisham. that consciousness is objectful, not objectless. Because we are all the time aware of always some object, something or the other. So how do you say that the consciousness is objectless when in the waking and dream state it appears as though the consciousness is with objects? Jagadnyati svavidyataha. The objects, and there the apparent duality of knower, knowing that is there in the waking state. Now we have to examine whether the duality that we experience in waking state, what's the duality? The knower, knowing. It was absent in deep sleep, therefore it was possible to establish that consciousness is there, even an object is not there, so consciousness is objectless. How do you establish that in waking and dream when consciousness is there and objects are also there? So let us examine what's the reality of. So deep sleep was easy because objects were not there. The waking state, objects are there. Let us analyze what is the reality. Jagat jnatistu avidyataha. In the waking state, all these knower, knowing, this duality, avijnata, is projection of ignorance. Meaning that this duality will not be there when knowledge is there. As long as I look upon myself as a jnata, so long jnayam is there, jnati is there, all of them appear to be real. I realize that I am jnapti. In jnapti there is no jnata, jnaya, jnanam. So in the waking also the jnapti is nirvishaya. The jnata, jnaya, jnanam, that setup of the duality which appears to be there is avidyata, is a projection due to ignorance. Tad grahyam cha asadishyatam. Therefore, whatever is perceived in the waking state, ghatapata, understand them to be non-existent like in the deep, in the dream state. Asad bhasamanam. Therefore, Vishayana vritti samakalam eva sfuranat. The object, yadapata, they shine all right only as long as the vritti is there. Vishaya vyavicharebi sfurana avyavichara tasya. Whereas consciousness shines even when Vishaya is not there. Vishaya cannot shine if the vritti is not there. But consciousness, even vritti is not there. Therefore, consciousness is not determined by the vritti. The Vishayas are all determined by the vritti. Because Vishaya cannot be if the vritti is not. But consciousness is, existence of consciousness is not determined by vritti, because even in absence of vritti, between the two vrittis also, or in deep sleep also, the consciousness is very much there. Nirveshayatvam siddham, therefore consciousness is objectless. That is established. Going to 9th verse, no? Atmavare dashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, niridhyasitavya. Like all Prakarana Granthas do, this is the role that a Prakarana Grantha plays. Is explain the Shastra really. They call it Prakarana Grantha. Prakriya Grantha, etc. Explaining your Prakriyas. But no. This kind of Prakarana Granthas, like Panchadashi, even Vivekachudamani to a great extent, UpadeshSahasri, they explain the Shastra, the commentary upon the Shastra. So, what do you want to call them? Prakarana Grantha. is not a prakaranam. Not a chapter of the Shastra, explaining only one chapter. Now you have to somehow fit it into that. Shastra gadesam baddham shastra karyantare sthidam. They explain only one aspect of Shastra and does the same job as a Shastra or something different. Both ways can be explained. But basically, it explains the whole Shastra. So here, Atma var drashtavya, sotavya, mantavya, nidhyasatavya. The tavya pratyaya is there, which is vidhi, which is an injunction. Atma vai are drashtavya, he maitreyi, Atma must be seen. Then same thing should have heard, listened to, reflected upon, meditated upon. Does it mean that now you say that Atma or consciousness is objectless? It is no object and it also cannot be an object. Both ways. When it said Atma vayare drashtavya, Atma must be seen, it looks like Upanishad is saying that Atma must be made the object of seeing. Like a ghatapata are the objects of seeing. And whatever is seen, an object such as ghatapata, is all comparable to rope snake. Rope itself is compared to rope snake. Just as rope snake is projected upon rope, the rope itself is projected upon Sasti Bhadi. So anything that is an object of knowledge is a projection. Rashana bhujanga divata asatva prapti Atma vare drashtavya he maitreyi, Atma also must be seen, known. If this Atma is made or can be made the object of seeing or knowing, then it falls in the category of any other object such as ghatapata or rope snake and becomes unreal, becomes mithya. So therefore, if you take this statement literally, Atma vara drashtavya, tavya means it must be seen. That's a visual injunction. Then by that statement, if you take it literally, then Atma is unreal. If it can become the object of drashti, it is like the rope snake, which is unreal. But there are other statements of Upanishad. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam, tatharasam, nityam, agandavachayat. Ashabdam meaning that it cannot become the object of hearing. Asparsham cannot become object of the act of touching. Arupam cannot become object of the act of seeing. Arasam cannot be object of tasting. Agandavat cannot be object of the act of smelling. So this statement from the Kathopanishad very clearly says that Atma cannot be the object of any sense perception. Now drashtavya seems to indicate that Atma should be made the object of seeing. You see here now. So that is how the clarification here. As Taranji Maharaj used to say that Brahma Sutra's purpose was to resolve many doubts. But all doubts could not be resolved. So this Prakarana Granthas came along. He talked about Panchadashi, he was teaching that. That Panchadashi raises many doubts which were not raised in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Brahma Sutra. So also a text like this raises many doubts. And where there seems to be an apparent contradiction, Like other. So, ashabdam sparsham arupam. Atma is form, arupam, colorless, formless. Therefore, cannot be object of the organ of seeing. Elsewhere, drashtavya it says. So that raises a question. So, standard interpretation where scholars will be, there is a contradiction in the Upanishads. Vedanta says, no, we have to explain these vakyas properly. The chakshusha gruhyate napivacha. Mundakopanishad says, chakshusha na gruhyate. It cannot become the object of perception by chakshu or the faculty of sight. See, the word drashtavya, that verb is taken literally, then it will contradict what is said elsewhere in the Upanishads. Therefore, drashtavya has to be interpreted. Is other interpretation possible for tavya pratyaya? Here it is ashabdam asparsham. No other interpretation is possible. Very clear. What we say is spashta brahmalinga vakya, meaning the spashta vakya. No drashtavya, where the tavya pratyaya. Does tavya pratyaya have another interpretation? Yes. Arharthena tavya. Tavya also can mean arhartha, that which is worth. So drashtavya, that is worth seeing, deserves to be seen. Hey Maitreyi, Atma is worth seeing, deserves to be seen. Is extremely seeable. Because darshanam of Atma is most fulfilling. Therefore, for gaining fulfillment, you must see Atma. So, must see is not to be taken literally as making Atma the object of seeing. What is conveyed there is that Atma is so great that it is worth seeing. Because Atma nidrushte shrute, when you see Atma, then everything is seen. No? Therefore, artharthena tavyena yogat. Therefore, the drashtavya, the tavya yoga with the root, with the drush is arharthena. Sense of artha means in the sense of being worthy of seeing. But why do you say Atma is worthy of seeing? There are many things that are worthy of seeing according to our thinking. The human mind is engaged in seeing many things that it says are worthy of seeing. And seeing can also include all other activities. Because they are looked upon as object of happiness, source of happiness. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Hey Maitreyi, that you think that something becomes an object of happiness is because Atma is object of happiness, source of happiness. So other things become worth seeing or worth experiencing because they are perceived to be or thought to be the source of happiness. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Those entities which in your opinion are worthy of being experienced because they produce experience happiness, understand that that is because of Atma and not because of that entity. So anything becomes worth experiencing because of Atma and not because of the name and form. Not even husband and wife, nobody. What are considered extremely dear also, are not truly the source of happiness. Atma alone is source of happiness. Therefore, drashtavya, just because tavya pratyaya is there doesn't make it a jnana karma. That doesn't mean, therefore, Atma is not sabhishesha. It means nirvishesha. And Tikakara also, so vijnana karmatvam bhumna nasti iti gamyate. So bhumna here the word is used. Bhuman. The word brings another passage also with reference to bhuma. Yat nanyat pashyati, nanyat shranoti, nanyat vijanati sabhuma iti yatrapi. So Atma vare drashtavya, this Shabda Prayoga, the verb is used for Atma. But elsewhere, for Bhuma it is said, Yatra Nanyat Pashyati, where one does not see the other, does not hear the other, does not think of the other. There looks like that you don't see the other, but you see yourself. So what is Bhuma? Where one sees oneself. So that passage could be interpreted that way, amounting to saying that Atma becomes the object of seeing, hearing, etc. That hearing, seeing also will contradict the Kathopanishad Shruti and the Mundaka Shruti. There also, one does not see the other does not mean one sees Atma. Nothing is an object of seeing, that's all. Atma also doesn't become the object of seeing. So that way, Navamam Sukshmata Vyapita Prakaranam. The 9th chapter, which describes the Sukshmata Vyapita of the Atma, beautifully is concluded. The 10th chapter, Drushi Swarupa Paramatha Darshana Prakaranam. Then what is the Swarupa of the Drushi? Paramatha Darshana Prakaranam. So what is the nature of darshan of the Atma? Atma vare drashtavya. Atma has to be seen anyway. So Paramatha darshanam, that seeing is not the seeing involving subject-object duality. Seeing is there because knowing is there. But seeing is not there because seer-seen duality is not there. So don't eliminate, don't erase everything. There is no seeing, seeing is there in the sense of there is very much the satisfaction of having known something. Whatever kind of satisfaction would be created in mind when you see something, that is there. But that satisfaction involves the seeing involving seers and duality, that is not there. So satisfaction can be there in seeing without the duality of the seer and seen. So Paramatha Darshana Prakaranam is what Drushi Swarupa. Because seeing is the nature of very seer. Therefore seers recognize themselves as seeing. So Swanubha Abhinayana Prakatayan. The teacher now describes how Atma is nirvishaya, objectless, meaning all that is Atma. Then only it is non-dual. Not there is one Atma and there is something else. All there is Atma. So Swanubhavayana Abhinaya. Swanubha Abhinayana Prakatayan. The teacher describes his anubhava in words. That's how Prakatayan. He expresses how Atma is nirvishaya, non-dual also. Drishiswarupam gaganopamam param sakrut vibhatum tvajamekam aksharam alepakam sarvagatam vidadvayam tadevachaham satatam vimakta om. It's a very famous verse, quoted elsewhere also. aham. Last line is tadeva chaham satatam vimuktah om. Tadeva chaham, that alone I am. What that? What that? The tat is sarvanama, the pronoun which is now described, referred to elsewhere. Drushi swarupam, gaganopamam, param, sakrut vivadam, to ajam, ekam, aksharam, alepakam, sarvagatam, yat advayam, tadeva chaham, that alone I am. Drushi swarupam, the nature of consciousness. Call it drushi, call it drashti. So consciousness. I am the drashta swarupan. I am not the swarupa. Drashta is not my swarupa. Therefore, the drashta which comes into being when drashya is there, that is not my true nature. When that drashta also is let go, yena tyaji tat tyaja. So let go the drashta also. That is the final asakti, we have to hold on to something. Because drashta is given up, then I won't exist. I feel that I'll be gone. Non-existence, no? So drashta also is dropped. Then something remains, which cannot be dropped anyway, which is your own nature, drushi. Sakrut vivadam ekada eva sfuritam. Sakrut once means once and for all, not once. It ever shines. Sadeva spashtam bhasamanam, always shines. Jagrat swapna sushuptishu sfutatara ya samvido jrumbhate. That samvita consciousness manifests itself in the waking, deep sleep. It doesn't require a cause for manifestation. Self-manifesting. Otherwise, other things cannot manifest on their own when they need to be manifested by something else. Gagano param, all pervasive, param, supreme, limitless, sakrut vivadam, ever shining, of the nature of consciousness, ajam unborn, ekam, one, non-dual, aksharam, immutable, alepakam, untainted. But what is illumined? The illuminator never gets tainted by what is illuminated. There is nothing to illuminate anywhere. It is established that there is no Vishaya. It is nirvana. So consciousness is objectless. This is an object to taint the consciousness. The object that appears to be there is an appearance, not a reality. Sarvagatam yadadvayam tadeva chaham satam. I am always there. Not that now or then, not only when I know, always. Vimukta, therefore, vimukta, I am ever free. Om iti abhinujnanartham omkara. What the teacher has taught, the disciple now confirms. Oh, yes, that's what. So, sir, that's what you taught, this is what I realize I am. Or Ukta Swarupamkara Dwara, or Om becomes the means of knowing that Swarupam also, that's why it says Om. But Akash is Alepakam, alright, untainted, but Drashta always has Drishyam. So how do you say Drashta is untainted? Ashuddhi Vikriyadi Dosha Sambhavat. Because the drushi of the consciousness illumines the drishya. If it illumines, then it comes in contact with them. Then it becomes subject to being tainted by them. Says, no, there is no contact. Drushe Atma Swarupatvat. Drushi is Atma. Basically, it is objectless awareness. Therefore, there is nothing to taint it. Dushistu Shuddhoham Vikriyatmako Namesti Kaschid Vishya Svabhavata. That's important. What is Drushi? Drushi Swarupam. I am Drushi. What is Drushi? Shuddha Aham Avikriyatmaka Shuddha Aham. Pure I. Only the pure I, then the I also doesn't remain. The I that is opposed to you doesn't remain. The non-inclusive I does not remain. All-inclusive I. That is Shuddha I. Shuddho Avikriyatmaka. Never devoid of all Vikriya or change. Looks like I is changing. Drashta, Shota, Manta, Vijnata. But no, I that I truly am is Avikriyatmaka, changeless. The changeless I becomes a platform for all the changes. That's all the Vesha. Namesti Kaschid Vishaya Svabhavataha. I shine in my own glory. Svi Mahimni Pratishtitaha. There is nothing other than me. And I am not lonely. Somebody told me, one of our devotees, Swamiji, I am alone but not lonely. I really congratulate all these people. So self is alone all right, but not lonely. Namesti Kaschid Vishya Svabhavata. By nature there is no Vishaya other than me, and therefore I alone am. But Sampurna Bhuma, all that is I, Purataha, Puraha, Tirascha, Urdhvam, Adhascha, Sarvataha. In the front, in the back, on the right, on the left, above, below, everything, all that is I. Sampurna Bhuma. What I am is the Sampurna Bhuma. Bhuma itself means boundless anyway. But it may feel that Bhuma is behind in our, Purastat, Paschat, Dakshinata, Uttarata. But then Bhuma is still Dakshina, Uttara, etc. But what about the Atma? Then Atma also. What about Aham also. So Bhuma is equated to Aham equated to Atma, and what that is therefore is I alone. Ajah Atmanisthitah. Atmanisthitah means what? Sve Mahimnisthitah. So therefore the question was asked. Sa Bhagava Kasmin Pratishtita iti. Oh Venerable Sir, that Bhuma, where is it established? Sve Mahimni, its own Mahima, by saying that all there is Bhuma. Yadiva na Mahimni, not even established in itself. Because usually the one that is established, and where one is established, I am established on the chair, the one is established I, where I am established the chair, are different. So even when it says Sve Mahimni Pratishtita, it may create the idea I am established in my own glory. Somebody may imagine I as different from glory and I established in the glory. Says no, that glory is not different from me. Therefore, Yadiva na Mahimni, not even in Mahima. Atmanisthita nanyadhina. My glory is not because of something else, I am the nature of glory. When he said I am established in my own glory, it means I am the glory. Atma janmajaradi vikriya bhavena kutastha dvaya svabhavya paripadana para shruti. The Atma is devoid of the vikriya, the modification of janma, jara, the birth, death, old age, etc. Kutastha dvaya svabhavyam. The Atma, the consciousness, is kutastha, changeless. Advaya, non-dual, that's the nature. So this particular section is to quote various statements from Shruti to arrive at, to confirm what was stated in the early chapter by reasoning, to validate. So this is the style. You first arrive at something and then validate by what the Shastra says. Ajo maraschaiva tatha jaro mrataha. All of this comes from the Shruti, all these words. Swayam prabha sarvagato hamadvaya. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana ajaha. Ajara amaraha amritaha bhayam brahma iti. Swayam prabha atrayam pura swayam jyotihi iti. Sarvagataha nitya vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam. Advayaha ekameva dvitiyam. Na karanam karyam tadil brahmapurvam anaparam anantaram abhahyam. So these statements very clearly state that Brahma is not karanam, Brahma is not karyam. Brahman doesn't have interiorness, no exteriorness. Ativa nirmalaha niranjanaha paramam samupayati. The wise person becomes niranjana, devoid of all the anjana or taintless impurities. Sada ekatruptascha tata vimukto. Sada ekatrupta. Anandam brahmano vidvan navaveti kutaschaneti. Anandarupa amrutam yad vibhati. Anand means trupti. Therefore, sada ekatrupta, ever trupta, ever contented. Tato vimukta, therefore, I am ever free. Vimuktasya vimuchyate. Sada vimukta. The sada should go with each one of these characteristics. Om. So Shishya also verifies what the teacher has to. This is Shishya's expression, that this is what I am. In keeping with Venerable Sir, what you taught, that's what I see, I am. Nunu sthanatre anyatha prathamanasya katham vikriyatmakatvam. The waking you are Vishwa, in the dream you are Taijasa, in the deep sleep you are Prajna. So anyatha, prathama, at least you are known differently. In the waking stage you are known as Vishwa. The dream stage you are known as Taijasa. Deep sleep you are known as Prajna. Anyatha. If you are one, then why are you known differently in different states? This fellow in Surat, he calls by different names, and Bombay by different names, and Ahmedabad by different. You wonder what's going on. At home they call him by different name, at business place they call him different name, sports club they call him by different name, you know. Rajju, Gajju, Vajju, you know. So who are you? How do you say that avikriyatmaka? That how? If you are the same, then you will be called by the same name, is it not so? The fact that you are called by a different name in different states means you appear different in each state. And that's how you are known. So when you appear different states, how can you say that you are avikriyatmaka, you are changeless? Sushupta jagrat svatasya darshanam namesthi kinchittu matehi mohanam. In Sushupti, Jagrat, Swapnat, Swapataha. In the deep sleep state, waking and dream state, Name Darshanam Asti. I do not see anything. I, the consciousness, I do not see anything. It is true that I appear to be playing different roles. Therefore, I have different costumes in the three states. And all that the people recognize as costumes, therefore, I get different names in different places because I play different roles. So at home they call me by one name, place of work they call me by a different name, playfield they call me by a different name. Because I play different roles. So I am captain in one place, father in another place, CEO in the third place. That doesn't mean I am different. So don't think that who is, for example, Vishwa, the one that is experiencer of the waking state and waking objects. Tejasa, the experiencer of the dream objects, dream state, etc. I don't experience anything. That experiencing is only in the Vesha. Darshanam namesti kinchit. As I am, I have no darshanam at all. I do not experience, I am not the experiencer of anything. I am experience swarupa, anubhava swarupa, not anubhut. So I am not in fact, what is it, anubhavya. But so experience is my nature, experiencing, anubhuti. So the names are there, those names belong to the Vesha, not to me. So in spite of having different prathamanastvam, even though I am known differently in different places, I am not different. Even the roles are different, the person is not different. Then matehi mohanam. It is mate, the buddhi, that creates the duality of the experiencer, experienced, experiencing in the waking, dream, deep sleep. Differently it does. Therefore I am known by different names. First, svatasthatesham paravovi asattvataha. Svatatesham asattvataha. Tesham asattvataha. The waking state and the objects of waking, dream state and objects, they are not there. Swataha paratascha asatvataha. These objects in waking, dream, deep sleep do not exist on their own, nor because of something else. It's a more radical statement. We say that everything exists because of existence. That the ornament exists because of gold. So names and forms exist because of asti bhati priyam. So names and forms do not exist on their own because they don't have existence. But you say they exist because of the asti. He said no, they don't exist because of asti bhati, because they are different realities. You can say they are superimposed on asti bhati, no, don't exist. Names and forms are superimposed upon asti bhati priyam. They don't exist because of asti bhati priyam. They don't have any existence at all even when they appear. It's a superimposition. Asthivadipam alone appears as name and form, you can say. Therefore, the waking, dream, deep sleep objects and the states have no existence whatever. And therefore, there is no experiencer there. And therefore, all I am is Turi eva asmi sada adrug advaya, sada adrug advaya. I am Turiya. Even though I am waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, that's how I am known. What I really am is Turiya. The one that transcends all the roles. Who is in the roles, but who transcends the roles. Sada adrug. I never fall asleep. Advaya. There is no duality, even though all the experiences appear to be there. All the play of the buddhi, it is the buddhi that plays all of these roles, that creates all this. So therefore, even though the self is known differently in different states, as a waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna, the true nature is only Turiya. The Turiya alone comes to be called as Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna. Only because of what happens around there. Because of the projections that happen in the waking dream, therefore he gets designations. Not because some change happens in Turiya, therefore it's called Vishwa. But then, in the waking state, whatever exists, that brings about the designation of Vishwa for Turiya. Turiya eva asmi, all I am is Turiya. Nirvishesha eva sadaham asmi ityartha. What is Turiya? We are not waker, means the Visheshta of waking, dream, deep sleep are not there. That's called Nirvishesha. Sada Nirvishesha eva asmi iti. But Shariradi Sambandhasya Pratyakshatvat. You seem to be associated with this body. That's our experience. That this is my body, etc. And that you are associated with the body. You can't deny that. And moment some association comes, that can come only when it is possible for you to be associated. That means you must possess some attribute, then only you can be associated. An attribute-led thing cannot associate with anything. Even in the day-to-day life also, we have to assume some attribute. I will become a brother, sister, friend, something, sadhaka, whatever. Well, I can't associate without, so that requires association. There you have association with the Sharira. So you can't say you are Nirvishesha. Says, Sharira buddhinde dukkha santatihi name na chaham santatihi. This whole host of things, the succession of things, Sharira, Buddhi, Indriya, Dukkha Santatihi. Looks like sometimes I am also with Shariram, Sthuloham, Krushoham, Buddhi, Sukhiham, Dukkhiham, Indriya, Kanoham, etc. Dukkha Santatihi, Dukhi, Sukhi, Dukhi. Name, that is not mine, nachaham, nor am I that. Meaning that I am never, even when, for whatever reason I call this body as mine, even then I have nothing to do with the body. Mama nirvikarataha. I am nirvikara, therefore then nothing can become mine, because something can become mine when in some way I am joined with that, associated with that, joined with that. Some sanyoga must be there, some connection must be there. Something was there to connect me with the body, but I am not connectable. Therefore I cannot be connected to the body. So name, they are not mine, nachaham, nor I am that. Name dvesharago, name lohomoho. The dvesharaga are not mine, nor I am that. Mama nirvikarata. I am nirvikara. I never changeless, and therefore no association is possible in any way. Secondly, so looking at me, there is nothing in me that can connect me with anything. Looking at them, they don't have anything that can connect with anything anywhere. Asatva hetosya tatheva. Even look at the santati. Whole series of the sharira, buddhi, indriya, dukkha, etc. They are not there. Asatva hetosya. They don't have any reality. So I am not associable, nor are they existent to associate anywhere. Santate asatvam. The santati, I already said earlier, is non-existent. But then how come you experience that? Swapato hi drishyavata. Just as in a dream you experience a whole santati. In dream also a body is there, shariram is there, buddhi is there, indriyani are there, dukkha sukha is there. All of this in dream, you know that none of that exists. Swapato hi dusyavat. So just as all this santati or a whole sequence is experienced by a dreamer, even though it is not there, and so also in the waking stage they are not there to associate with me anyway. There is no second thing to associate with me. The second thing that appears to be there is non-existent. Number one. And I is unassociable. Number two, nirvikarataha. And therefore, there is no connection with the body. If you think that because of body, Sharirari Sambandha is not there at all. Okay, we'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.